And we are back with a very special Boss Bus Between the Cheeks Brunetti Bionicle Bonanza episode.
Bonk between the cheeks.
Bonk tween the cheeks.
Bonk between the cheeks is what
Hell
we're gonna call
yeah.
it. Yeah.
If you guys weren't tuned in, last week we did a watch along of the Bionicle Mask of Light movie. That was really fun. And we do not have a guest, so we are going to be continuing the Bionicle lore.
Yeah. And we are I'm going to start off with basically recapping through what the movie covered, because if you didn't watch the movie, there were some important parts that were laid out, and you can just listen to this, and it's probably shorter, and it's not a kid's movie from 2002, so you don't have to like struggle through it. But yeah, we'll get going. So when we left off, the Toa Nuva, which are the Toa that kind of got revitalized, fought with the Borak Call, who were trying to awaken the queen. They barely defeated him, basically because they killed themselves, like in the craziest ways possible with their powers. But so they just get done with that, and as they're doing that, we cut to the Tiraga, which are like the elders, they have like 6 elders, one for each element, and they're all sitting around like this little kind of conference room that they're talking to, and they're like, okay, we've been keeping some stuff back from the people. Like they're just like they're hinting at things that you don't really know what's going on, and they're like, should we tell them what's going on? Should we tell them the history? Should we tell them the truth? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, are they ready for it? Will they be prepared for it? So each one of them goes through like a story of like the Bionicles like searching for masks or stuff. And the first one's basically about like the Kopaka, the white guy, and Pohatu basically being assholes to each other.
Yeah.
Because like, so Kopaka, which is the white guy, and Tahu, the red dude, they're like the cool characters. Like Kopaka's silent and says like 1 or 2 words and is like really cool, like off in the background. And then Tahu, the red one, is like the leader and like hard ass kind of guy. And they're always butting heads. But like the other guys are kind of fun. Like Pohatu, he's just like a chill dude, and Golly's always trying to get everyone to come back together. But like, so they're just, each one of the Tiraga tell stories about them and how like if they're ready to hear this or if they're not. And then at the end, Tiraga Vakama, which is like the red, kind of like the leader of the Tiraga, he was saying like, he was talking about the story about how all 6 of the all 6 of the Toa were fighting this giant kind of beast underground, and like how he had fought that beast before, and he was like kind of hinting at their past as like the Tiraga, but we don't really know what's going on. And they're like, okay, well, we are going to tell them. They finally come to the conclusion that we're going to tell them what's going on after the Koli match today. And so like, yeah, they get ready to go. And then we cut to Takua, probably the only Matoran you know, and Jala, his like friend who's like captain of the guard, has a golden kind of mask. And Takua is just the chronicler, so he's always been kind of compared to some of the other Toa, like he's been friends with them and stuff. He's basically hanging out, hiking down this area in the volcano, jumping over lava on some rocks, and Jala's like, dude, we got a game going on. Like, come on, what the fuck? Yeah. And he's like, oh, there's this weird stone over here. And he like picks up the stone and sees some writing he couldn't understand, and then suddenly this like almost quake hits and like just tumbles him around, makes him drop the stone into the lava. He's freaking out. And then he's like, shit. Like, that was really important. I just threw it in the lava. And then, like, he's getting ready to go back over the river and, like, whatever. And out from where that thing fell, a gold mask comes up. It's, like, this weird shape, different mask, and it's just shining brilliant gold into his face. He picks it up, and he's like, whoa, this is a Kanohi, which is, like, one of the magic masks that gives you, like, powers and stuff like that. And so he's like, sweet. And then he's getting ready to jump over the lava with the mask when just a big vault of lava comes down, and he's like right in the path. He's gonna get hit by lava, and then in the last second, Toa Nuva slides down on a surfboard, it's like riding on the lava like a fucking master, just hanging out. Picks up Takua, and they fall off the waterfall, and he just stops in and climbs up.
Sick.
And he's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, I don't know. And they put the mask away, and they go do their Koli match. And now Koli's like a game in the Bionicle universe. It's like a sport. It's kind of like hockey, lacrosse, and soccer all mixed together. But there's 3 teams, and you basically have like a stick with a hoop on it, and you can like throw it back and forth, also kick it, and try to get it into one of the 3 goals. And there's 3 teams. So at this big tournament, they have three of the worlds: the rock people, the water people, and the fire people, and also the Toa of fire, Toa of water, and Toa of rock are all there, and they're playing this game. And Takua and Jala are the team for the red, and they play this game. They get their asses kicked. Takua tries to do this really cool move where he does like a backflip and tries to like flip it in, but just like basically like hits someone in the crowd, like just really fails with it. But he has this like tries to do this cool move. So the red gets their asses kicked, and in the Toa world right now, like the Toas, they had just beaten their guys. They've come back, and for some reason they're still like, fuck you guys, I don't need you. Like we've done all this shit. They're kind of like doing their own thing and like feuding, especially Tahu, the red guy, and Kopaka, the white guy, because they're like the cool dudes. They don't need nobody else's help. But in this, so as that game's going on, they finish, and all like the 4 or the 8 contestants bow. And when Takua bows, his backpack falls open, and the mask lands on the front. And the Tiraga are like, "Whoa, that's a mask of light, man! There's a Toa coming." Mm-hmm. He's like, Takua saw this and was like freaking out, so he kicks the mask over and lets it shine on Jala because he doesn't want the responsibility. And Jala's like, "What the fuck, dude?" But he's like, "Okay, whatever. Guess I'm the herald of the 7th Toa, but Takua, you're gonna follow me along as my like backup nerd sidekick." And so the Tiraga are like, "Well, you guys got to find the 7th Toa," and also fuck the Tiraga because they know what this means and they're purposefully lying to everyone. Because they have, like, we'll go into that, but, like, they're just lying to everybody. And they're like, "Oh, I guess you got to find the 7th Toa now." And they're like, "Okay." And so Takua and Jala, the 2 Matorans, which are, like, the plebs, go out to, like, find these masks. And then we cut to shadow. There's darkness and shadow brewing, and you have these 2 red eyes just pop up. And
scary.
And you have Makuta, who is the big bad of the Bionicle universe. He's, like, the bad. In the initial discussion, it talks about how Matanui, who is like this great spirit, came to Earth and then fell into a sleep because his evil brother Makuta came down and like forced him into this slumber as trying to like rule the world. So like as they're going out and getting ready to find this stuff, Makuta's like, "I'm not gonna let that happen. Fuck those guys." And he takes part of his energies out because like Makuta himself, like each character has like 1 or 2 special powers they can do. Makuta has like 40. Like he can shapeshift, he can control like energy particles, he can do illusion magic, he can do all this fucking crazy shit. And he just like rips out parts of himself, like one specific power, and puts it into these monsters called the Rakshi, which are these guys. And they have so they're basically robots besides this part, which is their basically, that one doesn't have one, but like the biological part of it. So he rips out this Krata, which is what they're called, and puts them into these suits, and he takes 3 of them and he sends them out into the world, and he's like, "You need to fuck them up." And 3 he sends out is this one, which is the Rakshi of poison. He sends out one that can literally disintegrate things with his spear, and the other one that can just explode things with his spear. So he sends them out to go destroy the fucking Toa and stuff, and they go out and they start and they fly, like they put their feet together and like can put themselves in a position where they just like fly down, and they fly into the Fire Nation village, and they just start fucking shit up. And even with Gali, Pohatu, and Tahu there, they literally get their shit fucked. Like they just destroy the whole village, sink it back into the lava, even with like the protection of these powerful Toa. And the red one, Tahu, he gets actually hit by the poison, gets like a scratch, and just like distraught that his whole village just fucking died. But so they kind of fight off the Rakshi as Jala and Takua make their way out, and they go off to like find the Toa using like the mask as a light to like shine where they need to go. And so they make out. They don't know what's going on. They got out before that all happened. And then they run into the woods, get attacked by a bear, and Lua, the green Toa, comes out, helps them out. And yeah, he's kind of racist, like to like Native Americans, because he like speaks in sing-song voice, and he says, "Oh, you're think-splaining. Oh, like that is bad thought time." Yeah, like just like weird, like broken English at certain points. But like I love the character Lua. Like he's one of my favorites, but he's just kind of racist. Yeah. At the same point. But he's like he helps them fight off this bear, and they kind of like he's like, "What you guys doing? You need help?" And he's like, they're like, "Yeah." And so he flies them over the forest, and gets the way out as they're following this light together. Eventually they make it to like the snowy mountains where they find Kopaka. Lua kind of ditches and says like things are going on. I need to go help out with what happened to the fire village, the Tow village. And so he flies off, and they're just kind of on this mountain, and they run into like these frozen Borak and like freak out. And then Kopaka's there and it's like, "Sup, nerds?" and like just being cool and like distant.
He is.
And they just follow him. We're like, "Well," they're like, "Why are you following us?" He's like, "You're following me, bro." Like, like I love Kopaka, but he is a fucking like edgelord. Like he's just like the cool silent man. Like it's like whatever. But yeah, they follow him for a while. And the Rakshi, who had destroyed that village, come and show up, and they have this big chase. Kopaka gives them a shield. They like surf out into this like lake. The Rakshi come in and fall into the lake, and then Kopaka freezes the lake before they can get out. So they're frozen in this lake, and they keep going. And so basically, it's a pretty simple arc. They basically are like looking for this spot, while the Rakshi basically most of the time fuck up the Toa. Like you have. Tahu gets fucked and his whole village destroyed, and then they go into like the underground place with the rock and earth Toa, and they get fucked up by 3 more of the Rakshas that come out, because this one can control anger, so he like shoots you with like an anger, which makes you want to fucking kill your friends. One that's fear, what actually gets Kopaka, and Kopaka like literally crawls into a ball and like cries because he's the cool guy, but he's just holding it all in because that's a trope. And then the last one can hunger, so it's just like absorbs your energy, like steals your life and stuff. And so they come out and just fuck shit up more. Again, this thing, they travel over the island while the Toa try to like figure things out and like fight back. They have some cool scrapes. There's a couple cool fights in there, like how they like not in the movie. I mean, the movie has simple straight out fights, but in the book they have like really simple like strategies and stuff, how they're like fighting them. But eventually the Takua and Jala make it into this like black place, and Takua's still like fighting with, "This isn't my destiny, man. Like I don't want this. I'm not important enough. Fuck you, Jala. You're the cool guy. You should carry this burden for me." And it's kind of Lord of the Ringsy, but like in reverse. Rather than Frodo wanting to keep the ring, he's like, "I don't want the responsibility." But it's just them kind of climbing around. And at one point, he's in like this dark tunnel, and this shadow of Makuta comes in and says, "I'm gonna fucking kill you and your friends if you touch that mask. Like just let it go." And that's how he talks. He has like a big like low like Darth Vader kind of voice, just like deep and heavy. And he's just like putting more doubts into Takua. And they finally like just keep going. Things get shitty, and then they eventually make it to like the center of the island, which is kind of where they started. Like they literally started at like the volcano, and then they got down to right at the base of the volcano. But they went all the way around and fucked up a lot of shit and got like villages destroyed. But anyways, they finally make it to this shrine, and Jala's there, and he's like, "Well, this is where they told me to go." And then Takua comes back and is like, "I'm the herald now. Like I know I am." He recognizes his duty or his destiny. He's like, "This is my destiny. Thank you for you doing your duty of like being the captain and being my protector." And he finally grabs the mask, and the this mountain kind of like carving just breaks apart and shows this like weird looking mask, and like it has like this opening to it and just like this kind of place. And then all the Rakshi show up and all the Toa show up, and they just have this big fucking battle. And they fight back together, and they're fighting back and off, and finally the Toa are working together again, because Tahu had been like infected by the poison and then got hit with the rage thing, and he was like trying to fuck his friends up at one point. They finally like worked together, contained him, and then like healed him, and now they're like, okay, we'll finally be friends, I guess. Like our destiny is to be together. We have a duty to each other, kind of thing. And they like work together. Like they use like air to make us like a tornado, and then the rock guy kind of puts stones in it, and then the fire guy turns it into like this glass insane. And just makes this like glass like tornado cyclone that like fucks up some of the Rahi. The fear one, who's this guy, or no, fear one is white, never mind. The fear one comes over and like is singling out Takua and is about to fuck him up, and Jala just jumps in the way, gets shot, and just fucking dies. Like, literally dies.
Yeah.
Which is weird for those kind of movies.
I was shook.
Yeah, I was shook. Like, especially for, like, Lego. Like, Lego had a big thing about not even wanting weapons in their story, but like to kill a fucking good guy,
Yeah.
like that was kind of fucked. And so he kind of jumps in the way and gets shot, and then the other Toa come and like control that Warashi, and then Takua sitting there looking at the mask. He's like, "It's my destiny to be the Herald. I know what I need to do." And he puts the mask on his face and transforms, which is a big thing in Bionicle. Everyone transforms at least once in the show, but he transforms into Taku Nova, which is the Toa of Light. He's like golden mask, really cool, like. Because he played that game Coley, he has that, like, staff as, like, his thing. It transforms into this giant kind of, like, blade scepter thing. Cool-looking fucking dude. I had one of him, but I sold it. Or I gave him away in a garage sale. I'm like, I could have... That's like $120 fucking piece of plastic now. But whatever. So he transforms into that. And they take apart all the Rakshi and transform him into this, like, really cool bike. Like, this floating kind of, like, hover bike thing that Takua uses. And he takes the Krana out. And he's like, we're going to use these to find Makuta. Because they're part of Makuta. They'll go back to him. So you put him in the actual bike. And it activates it to a point where they can, like, drive it down. So Takua's like, Takunova now is like, okay, guys, fuck off. Like, this is my fight. Like, I know we're supposed to be duty, but, like, this is light versus dark. Like, my destiny is to fight Dakuta. You guys gather each other because we might wake up Matanui after this, because Matanui's still sleeping. And so he flies off using them as a guide, and he gets to the tunnel into the area where Makuta is. And this one little Matoran, who's like the girl blue Matoran that was like friends with Jalo, is like, I'm here as your chronicler now. And she like pops out of like the trunk of the car. He's like, okay, well, whatever. And he walks into this like big chamber. And in the middle is the symbol of the three virtues, like the unity, duty, destiny. And they're kind of filled with this liquid protodermis, which is like, protodermis is like the power. It's like the special magic liquid / solid / thing of the Bionicle universe. Is what they use. Like the energized protodermis is what they use to seal the Balrogs in. The liquid one is what transformed him into the Toa Nuva. And so, like, they have this little pool in the middle, and then he hears this voice of just Makuta coming. He's like, oh, fuck you, dude. Like, welcome to the show now, man. Like, you really want to fucking take us? And he shows up, and he's this giant guy. And he's huge. I'm bidding on that character. Like, I have, like, an eBay bid for, like, $40 only for right now for him. And I'm like, it's a couple days, so I'm sure someone's going to bid.
Large?
He's, like, this big. Like, he's large. God. He's got a big fucking thing. He's got hands that actually open and close. And, like, he's cool. Like, he's a fucking good bad boy.
Wow.
And he's just like, okay, welcome to Toa Light. Like, fuck you. Like, you can't even stand the chance against me. And he's like, I'm going to fucking ruin your life. And be like, he's like, I'm going to kill you, Makuta, and wake up Matanui because it's time to do that. He's like, whatever. You know what? Just to play with you, we're going to play a game of Coley. And he, like, dips his, like, staff into the protodermis and, like, pulls out basically this energized ball that turns into, like, a shadow ball and, like, throws it at him. And, like, basically they play a game of Coley as they, like, highlight the balls back and forth against each other, like lacrosse style. The Matoran that's with them, that was with Takanuva, it's like, I gotta go tell the others we're gonna awaken Matanui. We need to get the Matoran all together. So she kind of races back and tells them, like, come on, we gotta get back. And while it's going on, they're just kind of throwing it back and forth. And Makuta's just fucking wrecking shit. Yep. Like, he's just smashing all these pillars down. Takanuva's just, like, jumping back and forth, barely getting out of the way, like, getting fucked up. And Makuta's like, this is a waste of my time. Like, fuck you. And he's like, no, we're going to awaken Makuta. And it's like, and then everyone kind of finally makes it to that area as all the Matoran come in. And Takunuva's basically, like, fucked. And is like, shit. Like, yeah. I'm going to awaken these up. He's like, you know what the worst part is like, and he throws one of the balls that was going to just kill him, like the final blow. He throws it at, like, this pillar and locks everyone into this chamber. It's like, they're not even going to get back to him. He's like, I might not be able to beat you today, but one of these guys is going to do it. Like, don't underestimate the Matoran. We'll fuck you up. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he just seals them all into this room. He's like, after I kill you, I'm going to kill all of them. Like, fuck you. And he winds up and just, like, throws it. And Takua's like, fuck, no, you're not. And he pulls out his highlight staff and he, like, runs up and does, like, the same flip he did at the beginning and fucked up. and like dove down, picked it up, and just like backflip, throws it at Makuta and just hits him straight in the chest, and he's fucking done. And he just gets hit, and he's like, oh fuck, damn. He's like, yeah. And he's like, fuck you. He's like, and he kind of shrugs it off. Like he's like, I'm still a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Like, that hit me hard, but I'm literally like a god. And he's like, he's got to, and then Takunuva's like, I need to remove this fucking mask. And he kind of like jumps on him. He's like, I won't let you hurt my friends. And like pulls his mask off while pulling off his own. And Makuta's like, fuck. And he just like throws them both into the vat of the protodermis, the liquid protodermis. And they both fall in. And everyone's like, oh shit, what happened? And they're all like looking. And then slowly Makuta's arm just pulls out and like crawls up. But like when he brings up his body, his mask is actually like fused. So it's like half light, half shadow. Both of these masks kind of mixed together. And because Takunuva had like injured Makuta, he had kind of took control of the body. And he was like talking to the friends. He's like, it's okay. We solved this. We need to get the fuck out. Because like everything's kind of starting to like crumble a little bit. And they're like, shit. This room's gonna blow up. And so he kind of like this giant mass now because he has Makuta's power. He runs up and like lifts this gate and lets people go through. The one blue Matoran, the girl that was like his chronicler that was helping him out, is like she's still carrying Jala's mask. And after he died, she kind of took his mask. And he's like, wait, and he uses the last of his energy to revive Jala.
Yeah.
And then the ceiling crushes down on him as his mask kind of fades away. And then all the Matoran and the Toa are in this weird room. And then there's like almost like a gate to it. And Tiraga Vakama's like, well, it's time to wake up Matanui. And he kind of sits in the middle. And he like says, unity, duty, destiny. And unity is like the blue girl. Duty is Jala, who's now awake. And they put the mask of destiny, which is Takua's in the middle, and just like lights up. This new gate opens, and kind of bullshit, but Takunuva just shows up and is like alive, and it's like kind of dumb. But yeah, they reawaken them, and it opens up this gate, and they stand at the edge of this kind of precipice and look out into this sea of protodermis, the sea under the sea. And this is like an important thing that like you don't really think is important. Like at first you're like, oh, it's just two seas, this weird fantasy world, whatever. But like they're underground, and there's this like sea, there's a sky, there's like sun and like two suns and like stars in this sky underground. And they look out into this like vast sea of protodermis, and that's where we're gonna stop for this episode. Yeah, so that's basically the movie and a little bit more. The movie's pretty good. Like it's got good. Some of the best, like, the music to it's so good.
I love that.
Yeah. It's got pretty good animation for what it is. It has some nightmare fuel with the fucking Rakshi just, like, opening their mouth.
Dude,
like,
the mouths were not...
Just, like, terrifying, spooky spider slug dudes. Like, it's pretty good. So if you want to watch that, and we do have the commentary with that if you'd like to watch that.
Yep, check it out. But we will see you on the next Bionicast.
Nice. Keep it real.